All right. Hello, everybody. So my name is Silvia, aka Crypto Empress. And Estonian Cryptocurrency Association welcomes you all who came here tonight at Palo Alto Club, Tallinn, and also everyone who is watching us live from the internet. So we are starting the season off with our first event, and we're planning on having them each month. If COVID is nice to us, we can have it physically. If not, then we're going to make it virtually. Our topic today is something that is very hot and relevant at the crypto space in the moment, so that is decentralized finance. And we want to know, is it utopia or the new reality? We will have two speakers for you tonight, first one being Martin Ploom, and second one, Artur Sabah. After their performance, we will have some free time. You can all have some drinks and some snacks and chit-chat to get to know each other. So, without any further ado, let's begin and welcome our first speaker, Martin Ploom.
Hey guys. Okay, let's get started. So, okay, can we move to next slide? So, okay, I have to say. So, first about myself. So, I did quite some studies, but I just was registered at university. I didn't spend time at universities. Now, I work in Zurich. Like I was honored with the Credit Suisse, spending a lot of time there, learning a lot. And I have a special hobby. These are monetary systems and credit systems. So, and when the Lehman happened, this was a should I use this one?
Yes, for those people here, not so close because.
Okay, and when the Lehman happened, then me and my twin brother, we started to look a lot on the monetary systems, and that's how we got as well in Zurich pretty early into this crypto sector. You know, the core developers, two of them they were in Zurich, and that's how it started. And now my twin brother and myself, we are doing the company. It's smartcredit.io. So and we are doing it. So let's go now to the next slide. So we will see the slides as well. So we will speak about this like okay, DeFi. Now the DeFi is it's decentralized finance, but let's start from the beginning. So and the beginning is we want to disintermediate the banks. So let's speak about the banks. Let's say how to disintermediate the banks. What are the core functions of the banks? How do we disintermediate them? Because the idea is not to create just some imaginary DeFi or big DeFi thing. The idea is to take banks and to disintermediate them. So let's see one by one what needs to be done. Then we look as well at the DeFi numbers. So there are maybe 2 weeks old numbers. Let's look on them. So for people who do not yet believe in the DeFi, so I hope we can look on the numbers. And you know, statistics are always good. We look on some DeFi projects, and then there's a big question. So what's next? So. Okay, can we jump to the next one? Okay, let's get to the topic now. If you speak of the blockchain, now blockchain is all about disintermediation. We start with Bitcoin, there's an Ethereum, or yada, but it's disintermediation. The key question, who will cut out the banks? Who will disintermediate the banks? So, okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, and now to answer this question, we have to first look what the banks are doing. There's 3 key functions what the banks are doing, and we have to disintermediate every single one of them. So there is a payments and safekeeping. So there is the function, it's a credit and credit money. I will focus a little bit on this one. Banks create money, so this function is disintermediated. And the third one, the wealth management, the asset management. We need to disintermediate as well this function. So let's jump to the next one. Okay, it's always full of the money. So when we look like where the flows are coming for the banks, where the profits are coming for the banks, let's think of a universal bank, like a Credit Suisse or UBS. Let's take a universal bank. 40% of the profits of these banks are credit. And the credit money creation, banks create money, credit money creation. That's where the profits are coming, 40%. 30% of the profits These are coming from transactions or payments, and as well share transactions, 30%. The next 30% is a wealth management. Now, we need to disintermediate all these functions. Okay, let's go to the next one. So, let's start the transactions thing. That's easy. So transactions now we know they are going to the multiple intermediaries, so the multiple players. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So, and we know transactions decentral, we cut out the middleman. Everything easy, we know it, we have heard it 10,000 times. Let's go to the next one. So, but the key to do these transactions are the ownership records. So, we need to tokenize the assets. They have to be electronic assets. So it's because we know if you're looking on a DeFi today, it's ERC20s. So we have these ERC20s, Compound is using like 5, 6, 7 of them. Some others are using them. But the question are the real assets. It's the real economy. How do we connect now the real economy to the DeFi? We want to disintermediate the banks, so we have to create the tokenized records. So that we can disintermediate the banks. Okay, let's go to the next one. So, now, this topic, that's a very key topic, a little bit hidden topic. It's the credit and credit money. Now, let's think again. 10% of money that we have today in a circulation is created by central banks. 90% is created by commercial banks. Let's think now DeFi. So, in DeFi, who will create this 90%? Where is this 90% coming from? So, we need this one. So, and just this is a visualization here. Every time when a commercial bank is giving a loan, what happens? A credit money is created. Every time you are paying back the loan, what happens? Credit money is destructed. So, okay, let's go to the next one. So, and just this little visualization. So, let's keep this in our mind. In a traditional finance, 10% of money is central banking money. Now in the crypto sector it's Ether, Bitcoin and so on. But we need as well this other money. We need this money which is created in a decentral lending transactions. We need the 90%. We need this money that banks are using to create the profits. So banks are creating money and lending it out. There are peer-to-peer companies, they are only lending money. But we need as well decentrally create money and lend out the created money. So, okay, let's go to the next one. So, and there is just a small slide about what the banks are doing then to create the money and to create the credit. So the first one, we create, destroy money, we protect the reserves, we do credit ratings, we do legal enforcement. So simple. Let's go to the next one. Now credit money, the 90%. But we have to think like this monetary system where we exist. So this monetary system is not old. The central banking eras, it started, it's 100 years old. The banks as such, they are like a 350 years old, the commercial banks. Amsterdam, Wechsel and Handelsbanken. So our current fiat system, this is 1971. The gold window was closed. But what we have to think is that what we have now, the credit money system that we have, the credit money system, this is a central credit money system. And we need as well a decentral credit money system. And interestingly, the biggest part of human history was a decentral credit money. Not that central banking, not that centrally created credit money, decentrally created. Okay, let's go to the next one, just running through. And so we need exactly the same approach to do it decentrally. So the same what the banks are doing. So we need to do it as well as decentrally. So let's go to the next one. So the third big topic, the 30% of the banks, the 30% of profits of the banks. This is the wealth management. So if you have bigger asset bases, then you are a wealth management client. So wealth management means there's investment policy statements, there's a portfolio allocation, portfolio monitoring, all execution. But this is all manual. These are usually manual processes. No? We want to cut out the banks, DeFi. So we need as well to automate all of this process on the blockchain. So let's go to the next one. So it's just this automation idea that all these steps that we have, okay, you know, there's a Yearn Finance, there's an InstaDApp and all of these things. But if you're speaking of wealth management, there's investment policy statement. There's a portfolio allocation, portfolio creation, portfolio monitoring. It's not just creating one portfolio of everyone. So portfolio creation, it depends from your risk ability and risk willingness. So can you sleep if you have 10% loss next day? No, I cannot, and this will determine your portfolio. So it's automation of the wealth management. Let's go to the next one. So what do we need then to get to the real DeFi? Yes, we have DeFi already. Yes, we have it. But we need much more tokenization. Let's go to the next slide. So we need decentral credit. We have it, and we need decentral credit money. So MakerDAO, very famous, creating decentral credit money. Let's go to the next one. And we need a portfolio automation. Of course, in startup or your own finance, they're there. But we need much more automation. So now let's go on the next slide. So, and this is actually, okay, exactly there's a word DeFi nowadays. That's a decentral autonomous bank, or DeFi. So if you're speaking of DeFi, DeFi is disintermediation of the banks. So we'll cut out the commercial banks. We don't need the commercial banks anymore. So, and let's think decentral asset storage, we have it. Payments and transactions, we have it. Now, decentral credit, we say 50% completed. Credit money coming. And the next one, what's coming more, wealth management. And when this everything is getting done, we have cut it out, the banks. And this is DeFi. It's taking banks, taking banking functionality and replacing it. Okay, good. Now let's go on to the next one. So, and now we have just some statistics. Okay, maybe some of you know these statistics. So, DeFi statistics. Okay, let's jump to the statistics. So, the first project that we can look very much the Maker and the Uniswaps. And we see that it started very early. It started very slowly. Actually, no one noticed this. So, because what happened that people started, they came from traditional banking. They started to create central exchanges. They started to create central lending systems, Nexo, Celsius, BlockFi, Chinese Capital, all of them. So everything was like you take central systems, you copy this in a blockchain, and just do it. So and we see that luckily, actually nothing happened. So we had some little peaks there before, and I think we all know what was the real trigger, and the trigger was the compound token. And the compound token, when this was created, it was 15th of June. So, and this was when then really people started to notice there is DeFi, there is this way to disintermediate the banks. Okay, they're speaking of decentral finance, but it is about disintermediating the banks. And we see that's the total assets locked, the assets locked in the protocols. We see it's growing. I think this slide is like 2 weeks old. Okay, I bet it's now much higher. And so we see exponential growth in the usage of DeFi. So, and the key difference is all these previous generations. It's you who controls your keys and no one else. So you have the keys. Okay, let's jump to the next slide. And here is as well now some statistics. It's pretty fresh. So, okay, from DeFi Pulse. As well, we see as well, I think it's less than 10 days statistics. We see as well the projects with the value locked. So let's do Aave, Maker, Curve, Synthetics. So we know of them, okay. Some of them are like a core protocols. So we have core lending protocols, we have core exchange protocols, like a Uniswap, so core lending protocols. Okay, smart credit as well, lending. So, and then we have these investment systems on top of them. So now these numbers are maybe a little bit double counted because what is put in the year-end finance will then end up in Aave and Compound and in Uniswap. What is put in Instartup will end up as well in the other protocols. But the idea is just to show how much it's growing. And maybe it's just this awareness of people. They don't need to use this first generation of the crypto platform, crypto finance, first generation of the crypto finance. Okay, Nexo, Celsius, central exchanges, where they control your keys. It's like you take traditional banking, you continue what you do in the traditional banking, and okay, you offer just this as a blockchain to the users. Now, here we don't have third parties. Okay, of course, there are central elements, there are always some central elements, but that's the idea, not to control the client assets. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, this is, I took this screenshot on the day when the Uniswap had more volume on the exchange. Uniswap is one DeFi protocol exchange, then the Coinbase. Okay, let's think on the Coinbase. This exchange has, I think it's one of very little number of exchanges licensed in every US state, has 51 crypto licenses for every US state. So very well packed, very well known. And the Uniswap has one day more revenues, more volume than the Coinbase. That's a screenshot from this day. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So, okay, now the numbers. Now, there is a link as well on this slide on the where we get the statistics, and this is showing total DeFi users over time. So, it's really interesting to see. On the beginning there is nothing. Its beginning is nothing, very, very, very low. And okay, these statistics as well, I think it's like 2 weeks, 10 days old, and we are now by like nearly 400K. It's not users, it's addresses. One person can have multiple addresses. So we're having 400K addresses. And what we need on this what we need in a financial ecosystem is always critical mass. So if there is too little critical mass, probably it will not fly. So we need to get this critical mass. And now if you're looking on this slide here, so I think we see critical mass coming. Let's go to the next slide. So again, more statistics. Now Uniswap users. Okay, the exchange which had more volume than the Coinbase. Now, the tokenized assets, but we know tokenization, we need much more tokenization than we have now on the DeFi. Okay, Uniswap, we can exchange all these tokens, ERC20 tokens and so on. But these are, still now they are mainly all these tokens, which we just have in the, just as ERC20s from other projects. But let's think on all real estate, let's think on cars, let's think on all the financial assets. All of them, they need to be tokenized. All of them, they need to be put on the Uniswap protocol so that they can be used, they can be exchanged. So, what I want to say, we are looking on these numbers, but this is, we are on the beginning. So, the now amount of tokens, the token types, this will start to increase. Now the amount of users will increase, and then of course we see this kind of usage that we have of the addresses. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Okay, cyber as well on exchange. Okay, not so much users as a Uniswap, but we see as well, I think quite significant, 100K users, 100K addresses. One user can have multiple addresses. Let's go to the next one. So, compound, okay, 50K. So, okay, money market fund. So, they're doing money market fund. Money market fund means fluctuating interest rate, and one guy is putting money in, the other guy is taking money out. No fixed term loans, fluctuating rate loans. So that's money market funds. It's like a very basic financial instrument, but still 50K users. 50K addresses. Now, let's jump to the next one. So the maker. So the maker was the first one, and created a stable coin. But we spoke about these things, that what we need, if we need to disintermediate the banks, we have to create as well a credit money. Now, credit money to create in a decentralized transactions, to create it in a peer-to-peer, one person to another person transaction, so to create in a transaction one person against a smart contract, to create a credit money. DAI is a credit money. And we need more of this kind of projects. We need more of this kind of protocols which will create the credit money. Because that's what at the moment the banks are doing. Like say 40% of the profits of the banks are coming from creating the money and lending out the created money. So, okay, we need it as well as decentrally. So, okay, let's jump to the next one. Now this is DeFi loans originated. Okay, 2 weeks old statistics, we see it as well. It's even more than 2 weeks. I think it's 1 month old statistic. So $14 billion in last 12 months. Now, very interesting, if you look on 2019, like we did a little analysis in Smart Credit in 2019, the total crypto lending market was $20 billion. Not the revenues, but the lending volume. $20 billion lending volume 2019. DeFi, last 12 months, 14 billion. Now, these are not all protocols. These are just some. Okay, it's from the loan scan. Now, loan scan just, it takes the data only from some, not from all. So I don't know how to increase the number of the providers in loan scan. I think they should do it one day. Okay, let's jump to the next one. So, and these are DeFi users in the last 30 days. Okay, this slide is pretty fresh. I think the first one is a gambling here. Okay, but let's ignore it. So synthetics. So Aave, Maker, Curve, Compound. So we see all of them, and okay, just let's ignore the first column. We see the number of the users in 30 days. So and practically this is just showing it's getting there. So people are not going anymore to Nexa and Celsius to earn the yield, or maybe some people then to Genesis or Genesis Capital or the BlockFi and so on with the bigger asset bases. They start to earn the yield here on these protocols, lending and they're providing the liquidity. So okay, let's go to the next one. And okay, I just wanted to add it. So the best performing tokens in August. Will it be like the ICO wave? So certain danger is there. But then I'm saying, like, people have to think on this big picture. They have not to think just that the DeFi is there because we do DeFi. No. The DeFi is there because the aim is to disintermediate the banks, the banking. And this is just starting. Now maybe this DeFi bubble is going up, going down, but this big idea, like, how can we disintermediate the banking? Let's think on telecommunication. Skype, Estonia. The Skype disintermediated the telecoms. Now, most of businesses, most of sectors have been disintermediated, except banking. Now, of course, the banks will say that not true. You have peer-to-peer lending. You have peer-to-peer lending systems, but it's not true because peer-to-peer systems are not creating money. They are lending out the money which has been created already. Think again, 90% of money you use, all money that you use in your bank account is created in a lending. We are the lending. So it's not created by the central bank. So peer-to-peer systems are not competition. Traditional peer-to-peer systems are not competition to the banking. But if you're looking at the DeFi sector, yes, this will be. So we see the growth in the tokens. Probably there will be some further growth in the tokens. But even if there will be some hiccups on the road, I think there's a big theme that we need to disintermediate the banks. So the last castle, not yet disintermediated, this will stay. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, I added as well one little slide from the coin market cap from the DeFi section. So we see like what is popular. Okay, based on the market cap. So okay, for whatever reasons, Chainlink is there on the first. Okay, I won't classify them very much as a DeFi project, but okay, so be it. Why I'm showing you these numbers, and why I'm telling about the big picture. I started speaking about this big picture, so what the banks are doing and how the banks are earning money and how to disintermediate them. So we shouldn't look on the DeFi just as a little small, like a blip on the radar screen, coming and going away, and something new will come. We have to look at this big picture. The banks will be disintermediated step by step. Of course, the regulators will step in. The regulators will not like it. They will find the ways. We don't know which ways, but they will find the ways. So, but it's like the gin is out of the bottle. People understand you can do banking, you can do lending, you can earn from the liquidity, you can do some basic financing. Let's think you earn finance and instant up basic financing, so compound money market fund, just a money market fund. Money market fund is in the from fixed income, like a 5% from total fixed income, the money market funds, so 95% still to be added. So, like, but the important is not to see this DeFi as like a blip. Okay, there was ICO and now there's DeFi and there will be something next. No. We have to think this last castle, not yet disintermediated, this is starting. So. Okay, then let's go to the next slide. Okay, and just a little recap. So I added these slides just for the end, like if someone wants to ask me what is DeFi. So, like the old world, that central exchanges take control of your assets. the central lending systems, Nexus, Celsius, BlockFi, Genesis Capital, they control your assets. They do with these assets something. They claim that there is insurance on assets, that they're secure and so on. Okay, that's what they do. And this came directly from these were people were replicating this, what the banks did in the last 50 years. This was replicated. And this was this initial crypto systems. I think many of us use them. And the second, now the key is non-custodial. The users control their own assets. You control your own assets. You don't need a third party between. It's you control your own asset. So the key. Of course, and now let's add as well this here. The key parts of the systems have to be on the blockchain, but you cannot put everything on the blockchain. There are these DeFi, let's say, fundamentalists. I'm not one of them. I'm looking only at a big picture. Like you can put like important parts that have to do with ownerships and ownership transfers, asset like allocations, ownership records. You put them on the chain, immutable. But you will have a lot of things like a calculation intents, being like a risk calculations, big order books. Let's think on the Loopring, a DeFi project. It's a non-custodial assets, but it's a central order book. Okay, Uniswap doesn't have an order book. They're using like an algorithmic order book. However, so it's not everything that will be on the blockchain. Just a part will be on the blockchain, and the other things will be on off-chain components. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, and DeFi key use cases. Okay, I was walking through of them. Let me say it again. So we have borrow land. So they are there. But usually these are like a money market fund concept, like a short-term lending concept. The real fixed income is missing. Let's think on this a fixed income market in a traditional economy is like it's a factor 2, the bond market. It's a factor 2 of the global equity market. All of this is missing. So then next, provide liquidity. Okay, Uniswap. Let's think on this, you are liquidity provider in the Uniswap. And then the third one, okay, the yield farming. Okay, I think it will be next presentation about the yield farming. Okay, let's go to the next slide as well. Okay, compound, borrow, lend. Okay, just to understand, like who knows compound? Hands up. Okay, I see, majority, so very well. Now, compound, it's a money market protocol, money market fund. So, now, but real fixed income, let's think again. Real fixed income is not a money market. Real fixed income fund is all this so-called yield curve. When Federal Reserve is speaking, they're speaking of the yield curve. They always look on the yield curve. What is the yield curve? It's like the interest and also like different maturities, not only the maturity today. This is what compound is doing, but there's all other maturities not addressed yet. It's 95% of fixed income, so to be added. So, and compound we see have borrow and lend side. So, okay, supply markets, okay, lend and the borrow markets as well. Now, what is very interesting, like if you compare the rates, okay, you are lending on the left side, you are borrowing on the right side, you see quite some gap, so between them. So that means actually the lenders are not earning so much on the money market. So, but it's still, it's popular, so it's good. So let's go on the next one. Okay, Uniswap. Now, I allowed myself to sort this slide. These are Uniswap pools. So everyone can create a pool. You create a new token. You do 2 calls from MetaMask or my Ether wallet, and you have your own pool. Just to make the experiment, you can create your own pool. You create your own token, you create your own pool, and you send it to your friends. But these are just some pools which have been growing very fast, let's say, and as well which are giving a lot of like interest to the liquidity. So what is liquidity providing? So you put liquidity into this certain asset pair, and then when people start to trade like crazy, or maybe you trade it yourself just to create an impression that people are trading, other people start to trade as well, and there will be trading fees and so on. I just sorted it by the liquidity fees, but you can sort it as well by the volume and other. No, I sorted it by volume, not by liquidity fees. So, okay, the Uniswap, and why? Okay, Uniswap as well. Now let's think this Uniswap is not using order books. The traditional finance, you have always like these matching engines. You know, you're speaking of exchange, is always matching. There's always a matching problem. This matching is not so simple because it's multiple orders and buy, sell orders, limit orders, everything. No, Uniswap doesn't have order book. Uniswap has just a little algorithmic curve So, and it's a very famous formula. It's actually from Vitalik Buterin. It's A times B equals C. So if A is going down, B price goes up, and vice versa. So, and via this concept, they can avoid like having the order book, because you have a price now. You have immediate price. You don't need an order book, and that's the Uniswap. Now there is another project. It's called the Loopring. So I like them very much. And Loopring, they have the order book. So there are orders, but they are not keeping the orders in the blockchain. You cannot keep orders in a blockchain because it's a very dynamic data. So you keep ownership records on the blockchain, and the real like order book, you keep it off-chain. Loopring is doing this. So, but the Uniswap, why I like them is especially because they had more volume. They had more volume than the Coinbase, right? Not there, so Coinbase, the American blockchain industry. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, yield farming. Now, just yield farming. Okay, hands up. Who? Okay, then very, very simple. Yield farming is very simple. You put an asset in the first protocol, you get some token, you get the token, you put in the second protocol, you get some token, you get you take this token, you put in the next protocol, you get something. And maybe you earn as well as some proprietary tokens from the protocols. Now, I'm a little bit critical on the yield farming. Well, let's see the next presenter here. Because there are, okay, of course, it's very good to have now this arbitrage, because yield farming is nothing else than searching for the arbitrage possibilities. You're searching for the arbitrage, like into which pool we put our assets, into which compound, like pair we put our assets. Like, okay, then I'm taking a loan from compound and getting something and I'm lending it again out and borrowing again, doing all of these things now. But the idea is that this investment, because remember we spoke this first part, we spoke about what the banks are doing. Banks are doing wealth management. 1/3, 30% of profits of commercial banks are coming from the wealth management, 30%. But this is not products like Yearn Finance and InstaTump. These are like coming, they're starting from investment policy statement. What are your investable assets? What is your willingness to take a risk? Like, can you tolerate risk? Will you sleep after 20% loss? Will you sleep after 50% loss? So these are all these questions, and portfolios have to be created based on this risk willingness and the risk capability. So why I'm telling these things? So from one side we see this peak, this intimidation happening, the big picture, and now we see the first products. And well, more products will follow. Okay, and now let's go to the next slide. So the big question, what's next? Okay, let's go to the next slide. Okay, that's this slide from before, where I started. Okay, maybe it was a little bit like not what you expected for the first part of the presentation, but what's next is very simple. This decentralization of the banks, which has started, and where now this critical mass has been created. This is the beginning. Maybe the DeFi wave will be pushed down, but when people get this awareness that the banks are not required, so, and when more and more functionality is added, more and more systems, but not just money market funds, but real fixed income, not just algorithmic exchanges like Uniswap, but as well orders and advanced order matchings. Not just like a Yearn Finance kind of protocols, but real systems with a real portfolio management. And when all of them are added, then the question is, why will you need the banks at all? So do you need them? So, okay, then let's go to the next slide. I think that's the last slide. So, this is the answer. So next is disintimidation. Europe has 6,500 commercial banks. 6,500. I think in Estonia we have like 10, 15, something of them. 6,500. But then this key question, who will disintimidate them? How can this be disintimidated? Okay, and I'm saying DeFi. So, and this is just the beginning. So, thank you for listening, and please, questions, discussion, please. Max, help me. Yes.
Okay, actually, yeah, I have one question, and I mean, you're an expert, right? In terms of like, what, like, where money are coming from, all the crises that have been, that humanity has went through. Actually, thank you. I don't think it's. Is it working? No.
Yeah, in the Zoom they were here.
Ah, okay. Hi, guys. This is the year 2020, right? We had been through many catastrophes, right? We've faced like coronaviruses. We faced some, I don't know, like fires, like in the woods, like US is right now under big problems, and we're not right now in. At the DeFi, right? So, I mean, the 2020 is also like a creation of DeFi. But do you think like there's actually any possibilities that DeFi will hit us hardly later on, because the year 2020 is like really like created so many troubles for us?
Okay, I won't speak about the year 2020. So too many troubles, challenges, and humans are very adaptable. And let's speak about humans' adaptability. Now, we spoke about the money, like the history of money. Banks are about the money. Now, the money, the concepts of a credit, and so there 5,000 years ago, humans are very adaptable. Humans are very creative. Now, the coins made money. The coins, like the coins, they're 2,500 years old. The credit is 5,000 years old. That means decentral credit existed for 2,500 years before the coins money was created. And then the coins money was created. Sure, 2,500 years ago. And very interestingly, in the same time in China, in India, and in Greece, Greek kind of ecosystem. So, why? Because they had to finance their armies. The coin money was created. No, but decentral credit money continued to exist. It existed. And it existed till 350 years ago. It existed even till 150 years in some parts of the world. Like. So, very huge decentral credit money was used in UK, like a tally sticks. If you go into Wikipedia, you find exactly 2 paragraphs about tally sticks. But this was a monetary system which existed for like 400, 500 years. So, now, it's a very good question, like how do humans will respond to this? We as a civilization. So, I would say like, all these monetary concepts, they are very old. Like, you see the money, the credit, the exchange. What we think is now that we think that this monetary system and the credit system as it exists for the last 50 years, let's say the so-called the Nixon cold window closing where the gold was decoupled for the US dollar, the 1971, 49 years, that's all. But there have been fully other monetary systems before, there have been fully other solutions before. Let's take the middle class. The middle class research, it was created when it was before Federal Reserve. That's when the middle class was created. It was in a private banking area, not central credit money system. So private money system. Every bank could create its own credit money. You cannot do it anymore. And you have a centralized credit system. So banks are creating credit money, but it's centrally governed, the system. So, the question is like humans are very creative. They will find solutions and thinking like this monetary system that we have seen now 50 years, like since 1971, yes. This will have its like a logical end as well, in the same way as all other monetary systems before. And there's a new incarnation, but the examples are there from the past, how they worked. Okay, did I answer this question with a big circle? Or?
I think maybe I should actually add something. Like
yes.
Currently, we're facing
Wait, just a second.
Thank you very much. So I should add to that. Currently, we're facing a situation where real estate can be tokenized, and tokenization of real estate may actually raise the prices of real estate, right? Also, being able to take credits on what's you tokenized may actually create a huge bubble, right? Like it would continue like that, and it at some point it would burst and like we all die, you know, like no, but I mean it would hit, like it may hit like humanity like really badly, But what's your opinion on that?
Oh, okay, let's take a word like a credit bubble. I think I have some statistics of the like a UK, because UK has quite some credit system. Like 87% of new money created in UK, 87% is not going to the real economy. So now, if you're speaking of this, that people could tokenize the real assets, and they could use some collateral the real assets. Let's take on this the current banking system, especially after the Basel III regulations. After Basel III regulations were introduced, the banks are very hesitant to give the loans to the private persons or to the SMEs. So, de facto, big parts of the European economy have a pretty limited access to the credit money now. What is the reason? The reason is that the credit rating. Now, the Basel III hard codes credit rating. If you don't have credit rating, lending to the private persons, you don't have any credit rating, or lending to the SMEs are very expensive. Now, if these tokenization concepts are getting to the hands of small medium enterprises, they can tokenize the equity, they can tokenize the receivables, they can take loans via the DeFi, they will not take them back. Actually, we give credit into these places of economy where it's required. Because let's think, the initial ways to create a credit, this Mesopotamia 5,000 years ago, was always from productive economy. Now UK sample 87% of credit is going into the financial sector, into non-productive economy. Of course, it's a service sector, but it's non-productive economy. And credit should be created and allocated to the real economy. Now, by allowing this kind of mechanism, like tokenization, let's take real estate tokenization, let's take car loans, like you tokenize your cars and you take loans against this, you tokenize other assets of small medium enterprises, you tokenize your receivables, you take loans against this. At the moment, a very high margin business. So, but then we're actually giving credit to the parts of the economy which at the moment have a pretty limited access to the credit. Why? Not because of the regulations, the famous Basel III. The banks serve big companies, big corporations, big institutions. It's because of regulations. So, to answer the question, it will, of course, there will be maybe a reallocation, but always important in the credit has to get to the real economy. Like you work with the companies have to get the small medium enterprises, they create workplaces, they create innovation. They need access to the funding. And the big corporations, let's face it, are not creating workplaces. They destroy workplaces. Why? Because they continuously optimize. Like the lay off people 10% every year or 5% every year. So, okay. So it will be, I hope it will develop there where these sectors with a credit shortage will have an access to the credit. And the other thing is, why am I speaking so much about the wealth management? The wealth management as a discipline at the moment is accessible only to wealthy individuals, like say asset base is 500,000 plus investable assets. Now, your house is not investable asset. This investable assets really means liquid assets, so which you can allocate. So, but if you have this wealth management approaches, when you have this investment policy statements, analyzing of your risk willingness and risk ability, analyzing of your human capital life cycle, like the full investment life cycle. And this is only accessible to a very small part of the population. And they can invest so that it will generate very nice returns. Now, and okay, and there's this sentence like if you are trading on the option strategies, so 90% of traders are losing in 90 days 90% of the assets. So, okay, nothing against option trading, but if you don't have risk management tools, and so because you're just missing the asset basis, you cannot go to the bank and say, hey, 5,000. Can I have please an investment policy statement for the portfolio management? They will give you a very nice and polite answer. So, the wealth management. So, one is credit and credit money. This has to be allocated to the real economy, real productive economy, which has one shortage. As well, the investment, the wealth management, not only accessible to this very, very top of the society, but as well to the other parts of the society. So, and the payments, okay, payments are being decentralized already. So, okay, and regarding the bubbles, let's keep this in mind. Yes, the bubbles are created by the lending to the corporations, the big corporations, by the financial institutions. It's not lending to the private persons. So, okay. Now, I've been speaking now quite some time, so... okay, then...
Yes, yes. Uh-huh. Thank you.
Okay.
So, thank you very much, Martin Ploom. And now we're going to have 10-minute break. You can go pee, you can grab a drink, get some snack, and then we're going to have our second speaker, Arthur Shabat.